My parents told me they couldn't afford gifts for my kids this year. Then I watched my sister's children open designer sneakers and new tablets, while mine sat there with nothing. I spent weeks planning my daughter's 5th birthday. Emma was turning 5 and I wanted it to be special. Got the custom princess cake shaped like a castle for $800, hired a photographer, decorated our entire house with balloons and streamers. I even ordered those fancy custom invitations that my sister said were unnecessary. My parents showed up 30 minutes late. Mom was already on her second glass of wine, gesturing wildly as she talked to my Aunt Carol about how I always go overboard with everything. Dad was checking his phone, barely acknowledging Emma when she ran up to hug him. The cake was sitting on a table in the corner, this beautiful 3-tier masterpiece with fondant princesses and edible glitter. I'd been so excited to see Emma's face when we brought it out. Mom walked over to admire it, still holding her wine glass, still talking about how ridiculous it was to spend this much on a party for a child who won't even remember it. Then her elbow knocked straight into the cake table. I watched in slow motion as 3 tiers of buttercream and fondant crashed to the floor. Frosting splattered across my hardwood. Those little fondant princesses scattered everywhere. Mom laughed. Actually laughed. She said, "Oops, but honestly, honey, you always overdo everything. It's just a baby. She won't even remember this party. You could have gotten a $20 cake from the grocery store, and she would have been just as happy." My sister Jessica was recording the whole thing on her phone, giggling like it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. She said this is definitely going on Instagram. Captioned something about spending more on cake than most people spend on groceries. Then she walked over and handed me a crumpled gift bag that looked like it had been sitting in her car for weeks. Inside was a broken plastic toy from the dollar store. Still had the 50-cent clearance sticker on it. One of the wheels was completely missing. She shrugged and said sorry, her kids played with it first, but Emma's only 5. She won't know the difference. Besides, I spoil her enough already. Dad stood up and raised his beer bottle like he was making some grand announcement. He said, "Maybe now I'll finally learn not to waste money trying to impress everyone. Real families don't need fancy cakes to celebrate. They raised me better than this show-off nonsense." About half the relatives in the room actually started clapping and cheering. My Uncle Robert shouted "Hear, hear" from across the room. My cousin was nodding along like Dad had just delivered some profound wisdom. Emma started crying from her high chair. She was probably picking up on all the tension and negative energy filling the room. The whole party had turned into a disaster and everyone was acting like I was the problem. They were all staring at me, waiting for my reaction, waiting for me to apologize, to laugh it off, to clean up their mess like I always did, waiting for me to say it's okay, accidents happen, while they stood there grinning at my humiliation. I looked down at the destroyed cake, frosting still dripping from the table edge, then at my family's expectant faces, then at Emma crying in her high chair while my sister's kids played with their brand new tablets. I pulled out my phone without saying a word. First, I opened the travel booking app and canceled the $15,000 European cruise I'd secretly booked for the whole extended family as a Christmas surprise. 12 people, premium balcony suites, all-inclusive dining, gone with one tap. Then I logged into the car loan portal and removed myself as co-signer from Jessica's BMW. Let's see how funny she finds it when they come to repo the car she couldn't afford without my credit backing her. Finally, I accessed the joint checking account where I'd been automatically depositing $800 every month to help with my parents' mortgage payments. Frozen solid. My phone started buzzing within 10 minutes. First text was from Mom asking why the cruise confirmation just disappeared from her email. Dad called twice in a row. Jessica left a voicemail screaming about her car payment being rejected. The whole room had gone quiet. They were still standing there with pieces of cake on the floor, looking confused about why I was staring at my phone. My favorite message came about an hour later. My Uncle Robert asking if I could spot him the money for the cruise anyway since he'd already requested time off work and told his boss he'd be gone. I picked up Emma, grabbed our coats, and made Mickey Mouse pancakes for her actual birthday at home instead.